All right, everyone. Welcome to the Aegis Esports Winter 2022 League of Legends Draw Show. Thank you all for coming today. If you guys are excited for this, we always do our split. And well, we could call it annual, but we always do our draw show every time for the split, and we are excited nonetheless for this split. But first, we are going to go through the rule books. But before we go on to the rule books, let's do some introductions. I have one, two, three, six wonderful guests with me today. And we will go down the line to introduce them. So first off with me, I am Do1. I am the Aegis Head Lol admin. So I will be overseeing all the operations and making sure that the split runs smoothly and all the rules are adhered to. Chelsea, you're next.
Hey, I'm Kelsey. I'll be helping out run AVL this split. It's my first split as Aegis staff, and it's a pleasure to be here.
We'll go down the line. So Jason.
All right. Hey everyone, my name is Jason. I will be your play-by-play caster for APL as well as working on content with my good friend Corito.
Hey everyone, my name's Corito. I am going to be working on content for Aegis with Jason here.
Right, hey everyone, I'm Paneer. I'm going to be the admin for the Aegis Guardians League this split.
Cool. And then, yeah, my name is Prots. I'm just here for fun, honestly. I own TA. I have nothing at the staff. I'm just chilling.
Cringe.
And lastly, we have Ivar if he wants to introduce himself, but he is on the producing for us today.
Hello, everybody. My name's Ivar, Commissioner of Aegis Esports. Excited for this split to get started, and excited for the future of Aegis Esports.
Awesome. All right, so me and Paneer, we will go through the rulebook. In particular, we're going to just go through sections 7, 8, and 9 because those are the most important parts in regards to game day procedures. I'm going to be paying attention to Twitch chat as well. Also, people, guests, if you guys can also pay attention to Twitch chat as well, see if there's any questions that do pop up that I may have potentially missed. This is the avenue and the window for you all to ask any questions about the rulebook, and this is the perfect opportunity to do so because I will admit our rulebook is very thick. So we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that this is all explained well to you. So without further ado, let's begin. So for section 7 on the tournament procedures, this will just be talking about the procedures about the tournaments, essentially before and after the matches. So right off the bat, we do not allow any kind of gentleman's agreement. We've essentially tackled every part of the rules that you have to worry about. So no kinds of gentleman agreements are allowed. So anything that normally falls under gentleman agreements, like waiving ban losses, we've already addressed in the rulebook. But if you guys are unsure, like, don't be afraid to submit a ticket. We'll be happy to walk through it. I and like a couple of rulebook experts as well. Tiebreaker criteria. I'm not going to go through the entire list, but basically this is our whole exhaustive list to make sure of how ties are broken. All right, let's go down, all the way down. Okay, so let's see here. Scheduling, that's normal. After the draws are done, I'm gonna go straight into the sheets and get all the schedule out. I know this is especially important for AVL because they're starting their games on Monday, which is pretty much 2 days from now. So I will get that out as soon as possible. Rescheduling. General gist of this is that if a team wants to request a reschedule, it is completely up to the opposing team if they want to accept it. We encourage everyone to accept reschedule requests to the best extent possible because it is courteous to do so. Let's go down to extraordinary events. So if an event, something like a storm hits like the what was it, northeast, which happens very often, such as today, and somehow it wrecks the whole internet grid, then yeah, we're probably going to do some kind of reschedule for the entire league. So that is one rare instance. Other instances that I can think of that could only affect a few teams would be if a player has a proving grounds conflict. So that is the only one. Otherwise, everything else is just up to admin discretion. So feel free to ask us what is considered an extraordinary event. Holidays, we don't have to worry about that. I don't think we're in conflict with any of them this split. All right, team lead change. So if you want to change your team leads, this normally happens if your team lead is not a very responsible team lead. Usually what happens is that you could submit a ticket, airing your concern, and then we will address it from there to change your team leads. Same thing is going to fall under the team owners. Team owners is a little different because they're the ones who paid for the spot, so that's going to have a little bit of an extra procedure. Um, but that will be resolved within admin discussion as well. All right, let's go down. Team roles. All right, so if you haven't done this yet, team leads, we have the channel specifically for requesting your team roles. Please do so as soon as possible because it would be a terrible shame if you don't get your team roles on the day of the league. So please do this as soon as possible, requesting team leads. All right, team name changes. General gist of this, we don't allow it unless you've been acquired by an org. There's a lot of logistics that we have to do in order to change the names, and in this case, changing the media kits, changing the sheets, changing the databases, changing our Discord channels. Like, it's a lot of work. It's a lot more work than you guys think. Roster changes. All right, this is pretty huge. So after this group draw, we are going to release a roster change form for everyone to now transact their roster changes. For roster changes, we have we have it so that after you fill it out, it will be we have a bot that will automatically post it into their respective leagues channel, and then from there, the admins will review it. They can only be authorized by the team leads, and yeah, we allowed people to do as many roster changes as we wanted them before the group job, but now that we've essentially established the team and their tiers, now we're gonna be start enacting limits onto the roster changes. All right, next. Player drops. So the general gist of this rule is that if you drop a player, that player cannot has a cooldown period for 1 Aegis week. From their previously paid match. So if a player played in week 2 and gets dropped, that means that player cannot play until week 4. However, if a player was dropped if a player last played in week 2 but was dropped at week 4, he or she can still play at week 4. So just keep in mind, like add +2 to their previous played week. That's when they can play. Weekly roster lock. So 24 hours before the league's match day, the roster is going to be locked, and you can't do any further additions. Keep in mind that this roster is locked for the entire week. So let's say for a DL Defenders League, if a match is scheduled from Tuesday till like Friday, for example, the roster that was locked on Monday has to be used for Friday. So keep in mind of that. So no matter if you even change your roster after the Tuesday league, but your match is on Friday, you can't use that new roster edition. So hopefully that makes sense. This is actually a new rule from last split, so I want to highlight this one specifically. All right, weekly roster addition limit. In writing, this is a little complicated, but just to dumb it down, basically each team is allowed 2 roster additions per week until you hit a limit. Once you hit that limit, in this case the FRA, once that hits 0, you can only do 1 roster addition per week. So that is as simple as I'm going to make it. All right, next, roster freeze. So roster freeze is essentially what was it? We essentially just lock the rosters permanently for playoffs. So that would be done 24 hours before the last match of the regular season. All right, player confirmations. This is, I think, one of our most important parts of the rules. Also, I'm getting Discord DMs. If those are questions, please just ask them in Twitch chat. I'm sure someone can answer them for you. Player confirmations. This is where 2 hours before the deadline, we essentially confirm your roster. What we're going to do is that we confirm your 5 starters and your 2 subs. Um, those 7 players are the only players that can play during the match. However, in the event that you can't, what was it? However, in the event if you have to use a player outside of the 7, so in this case, one of your reserves, then that is going to be called a late player confirmation, and we inflict a 1 ban loss. So in this case, we ask each team to essentially declare which 7 players are they going to use before 2 hours before their BO3. That way, it makes scouting a lot easier. Yeah, that's essentially it for player confirmations. This also encapsulates team name, your name changes as well. So if you don't report a name change by the 2 hours, that's also going to deal with a 1 ban loss. All right, disabled champions. I'm not going to go through the nitty gritty details. Just pay attention to the disabled champion chat. Feel free to read through this, but just trust us when we say a champion is disabled. Forgiveness clause. So this is a new rule from the last split. Basically, we allow each team to waive 1 non-severe penalty, and those are mostly going to just be ban losses. Only during the group stage. We do allow the forgiveness clause for players who did not complete their minimum games on their designated main account. And that's assuming that their request to change their main account was denied. And this is only for week 1. So if you have a person who has not completed their minimum games, please submit a ticket and then we will review their case. All right, discovery of ineligibility. So if a team had an ineligible player, either from smurfing or from usually just from surfing. Basically, their matches are forfeited, and we have to recalculate the records. We do all-star voting at the end of the regular season. Just be on the lookout for the forums for that. In order to be eligible for all-star, you have to play a certain minimum number of games. And the yeet clause. This is only relevant. This is your favorite rule, I'm sure. This is only relevant to the capped leagues, basically. If a player is overperforming in their league and is clearly not playing at the rank that they are at, we're going to yeet them into the next league, next tier league. We have a huge criteria list about it. I'm not going to go through the details of it. Feel free to read at your own pace. But this is basically our way to prevent essentially eliciting. All right, ban losses. This is a very common question I get. All ban losses are the first X bans in the first phase, not in the second phase, first phase. So it's always the first. So if you get a 2-ban loss, that means your first 2 bans are gone from the first phase. Cool. And very importantly, because we take stats from your matches, please confirm the bans when you're in the incline draft. Otherwise, I have to go through this pain of like checking every ban to make sure that they are correct. Failure to do this will result in penalties, especially if you do it consistently. So please tell this to your teams. All right, ban loss waiving. So in the event that you get a ban loss, the opposing team is allowed to waive those ban losses because they are such nice people. But keep in mind that the number of ban losses that you waive in game 1 will also affect game 2 and game 3. So ban losses that can be waived can be like e-subs. Those are very common penalties to waive. And again, that's completely up to the opposing team. On the topic of e-subs, what happens if you don't have a player already from your roster? You are allowed to take a player that's outside of your roster as an emergency substitute. If you do it before the player confirmation, in this case before 2 hours, that's only a 1-ban loss. However, if it's within the 2 hours, you get a 2-ban loss. So make sure that you figure out who's playing from your roster as soon as possible. That way you can figure out if you need an e-sub or not. All right. E-sub cannot be a cap player exception. So keep in mind of that. It has to be within the ELO rank. That we will have a channel that allows team leads to request an e-sub, and the admins will do their best to get it reviewed as soon as possible. There's more additional rules for e-subs. I'll let you guys read it to yourselves. All right, ELO progress. This is a new rule. Please pay attention. Everyone needs to play. If you have less than 60 solo queue games, you need to play in the 10 games in the last 3 weeks. How can you check that? We have in our sheet an easy way to view it through the NAOPGG. You could check the starters and the subs. It'll have it laid out very nicely. You can see their last 10 games, 10 solo queue games, if it's been played within the last 3 weeks. We are implementing this rule because we want players to play their solo queue games in order for them to be accurately scouted. You have to do this on your main account. So please make sure that you are playing on your main account with these solo queue games. There is an option for the opposing team to actually waive this requirement for that week, but that's completely up to the opponents, and they need to have this, and they need to have written evidence of this and have it posted in the tournament chat. All right, side selection. I will just tackle the group stage. We can worry about play-ins and playoffs later. It's all predetermined, so you guys don't have to worry about it. Just look at your sides and start off from there. All right. And then game 2, what we do is that for the next game, basically if you lost the game, you get side selection for the next game. Cool. Lobby creation. We are doing completely tournament codes. Hooray. We should have a bot that will nicely generate tournament codes just for the team leads to look at 2 hours before the match. So that should and then for reschedule days, just pay attention to the tournament codes chat, team leads. In the event that a custom game lobby has to be created, there's rules for that. We can address that later. All right, tardiness. Okay, so for players that are 5 minutes late, you actually don't get any penalty. We call that a grace period. But after 5 minutes of tardiness, that's when the ban losses start to accumulate. If your player is 15 minutes late, the opposing team has the option to accept a game 1 forfeit, and then if you're 30 plus minutes late, you essentially forfeit the whole match. And the opposing team again has the option to accept this forfeit or continue waiting it out. Stacking ban losses. So that's just details between the tardiness and the late player confirmations. There becomes some nitty gritty rules about that. Feel free to read on your own accord. So if you use an esub, that esub actually waives the tardiness penalty. And then a new rule here, waive confirmation. So we've had multiple instances in the past where a team would ask, hey, is it okay if you just wait for our player? And then the other team is like, oh yeah, that's fine. So then we wait for this player, the player comes, and then the other team is like, oh wait, we still want to apply the tardiness penalty. And then the other team gets pissed because they took an assumption that the opposing team waived the penalty. So in the future, you have to ask very explicitly, are you fine with waiving our ban losses as we wait for our player? You have to explicitly ask this question. If you don't ask this question, that means your ban losses are not waived. So please pay attention to that. All right, break between games. There's a 10-minute break. That's pretty simple. Match results. We have a pretty common problem of people not submitting match results after their match is finished. So the winning team we will have a match results form, and we'll also have a bot that will be posting those match results as soon as you submit the Google form. If you are late, in this case 24 hours, in posting match results, you will be inflicted a ban loss. All right. Cool, guys. We are almost done, and then we will get to our most favorite part, the draw show. We're actually ahead of time right now, so I am happy to answer any questions as soon as we're done with this. And then, so for game procedures, we have these remake definitions: full, partial, and identical remakes. Feel free to read through those in your own time, but basically they're just 3 different remakes that could potentially happen. Um, Voice channels, we demand that every team must use the Aegis voice channels that we provided in our Discord server. This is so that we can easily help you, and we can also keep track of which Discord accounts are you playing on which team. Seeding order. Players must be lined up in LCS order: top, jungle, middle, bottom, and support. That's pretty simple. Now, if if a team changes up their LCS order from what is marked in the sheet in their roster, so in this case, let's say, for example, you use a sub instead of your starter, or your starter top suddenly lines up in bot lane, then we allow the opposing team to have 5 minutes of extra prep time. Once everyone's ready, we do a ready check. I'm sure all of you recognize how to do this. We do have some additional rules in this case. Most specifically, the draft tools that everyone uses. So let's tackle that part real quick under section B. So after the draft tool includes, and this is a new rule from last split, the in-game draft must start within the next 2 minutes. If the game fails to start within that window, the team responsible for the delay needs to find the sub within 5 minutes. So we've had common instances in the past where a team does not have all 5 of their players, but then proceeds to start their third-party draft tool, whether it would be ProDraft or DraftLol. And then after that third-party draft tool concludes, their player still doesn't show up. And it's like, okay, well, what the heck do we do now? So this is the rule in place. If your player doesn't show up after the draft tool includes, you either get to completely keep the draft as is even with the new sub, or we completely fully remake the draft and you get dealt a 2-ban loss into the first phase. All right, now let's actually talk about the third-party draft tools. Yeah, no, I hate pro draft. We are enforcing draft law the entire way for Aegis. However, if both teams really love to use pro draft, we'll still allow it. But as soon as one team allows draft law, you have to use draft law. Teams responsible for preparing the third-party draft tool. So if it is for game one, if the side is predetermined, blue side is always preparing the third-party draft tools. And then after that, whoever has side selection after that, will prepare the draft tools. And then broadcast/producers, those guys will be the ones responsible, preparing the draft tools. All right, cool. Let's get to technical difficulties. So technical difficulties is in this case are pause times. So we have procedures for in-game. So that's your normal pause time. We only allow 10 minutes of technical difficulty times to resolve any issues that you may have, whether it be the internet or if you're ganked by your parents. Personal experience that's happened a couple of times with a couple of players. So you only get 10 minutes of pause time, but however, if you scroll down, if you use technical difficulty time while you're in the lobby or even or even during the client. So for example, let's say a player has an issue with their client before they load into the game. That's also going to consume your pause time. So please be very, very conscious of that because teams are going to be tracking time of that. Cool. All right. So what happens if you accidentally pick or ban an incorrect or disabled champion? We allow the teams to basically remake the draft up to the part where of the error is. So there shouldn't be any penalties, but if it happens very consistently, then the admins will judge from there. Champion trading. The general gist of this is that please do not trade your champions after 20 seconds. If you do trade your champion after 20 seconds, we have to review it and we will just authorize an identical remake and make sure that that champion trade is not allowed. All right, identical remake agreement. This is a new rule. So at any point during the game, both teams can agree to make a completely remake, or do complete identical remake with the same champions and the same runes, as long as an admin or staff approves. So this includes if you have incorrect runes. So if a player suddenly loads into the game and they were pretty certain in the client, oh, I had the correct runes, but turns out that they didn't. Unfortunately, you're under the complete mercy of the opposing team because they get to determine whether they want to accept your request to remake the game. So please, I beg of you, make sure that you have your runes set as early as possible to make sure that your runes are set. And then as soon as you discover that there is a client bug, like, do not be afraid to escape or quit. I would much rather have an error before the game rather than in the game. All right, cool. Discretional disabled skins. So if any player uses any of these skins, the opposing team has the option to say, no, do not use the skin. And you can do an identical remake. This list is subjected to change. If you want to add on to it, submit a ticket and we'll review. Yes, there are banned skins, correct. Mainly because some skins are absolutely awful in clarity. All right, role swap restrictions. I've seen some. I saw some discussions in Twitch chat about it, but basically we're only allowing middle and top, middle and bottom and support for the role swaps. If there is any other role swap that happens, the opposing team is allowed to pause before 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and they can demand a full remake. Uh, if that is approved, the remake will be enforced with completely new draft, so in this case, new champions, and the violating team will be dealt a 2-ban loss. All right, all chat. This is a very common question. You are allowed to use all chat, yes. However, if a team complains about the other team using all chat, for example, to BM, well, that might lead to some penalties. So please use at your own risk. Same thing with emotes. So if you're spamming emotes and the opposing team doesn't like it and they complain to us, well, sorry, we have to deal some penalties. So make sure that you know your opponents well. If you know your opponents well, yeah, go at it. BM each other emotes. But if you don't know your opponents and you decide to do that, Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. All right, illegal pauses. We've elaborated upon this like pretty largely because we've seen some conflicts in the past, where an illegal pause happened and then a huge chaos just ensues after because people are never on the same page on what to do after an illegal pause happens. So, the general gist of this is that we will do a VOD review if an illegal pause happens. Especially if it's controversial, and we will use admin judgment to determine what should happen after. So that's the general gist of it. If an illegal pause happens, please make sure that you reach out to us. All right, unpausing. Please make sure that you do a countdown from unpausing. If you don't, that's gonna deal with some penalties. Oh god. All right. Bug remakes. Oh man, this is a huge topic of contention. I remember when we were sharing this during the patch notes. So if a bug unintentionally produces an advantage for your team, the opposing team can pause the game and have this reviewed. And if confirmed, we will demand a full remake. Now I know this can fall under subjection, and we tried our best to make this how do I put this? Like in terms of we tried to word this as best as possible to make sure that there wasn't any sort of like to make sure that this was as unbiased as possible. If a bug generates a disadvantage for yourself, then unfortunately that will not cause a remake. Um, so obviously, at the end of the day, this is a player and admin relationship, and we want to be able to provide with open communication as much as possible when we talk through this kind of stuff in regards to bug remakes. I really hope none of this happens this split, but in the event it does, we'd be happy to walk through with you. All right, surrendering. Yes, you are allowed to surrender without any penalty. Please don't. For courteous reasons and competitive integrity. Um, yeah, just don't surrender. Be a good team. All right. That is it in terms of the rule rundowns. We have 3 minutes left, but I think that's enough time for us to do it for promotion. How long is the promo video, Ivar? Okay, sounds good. Guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in Twitch chat. I will be paying close attention to it. But thank you so much for going through the rulebook breakdown. Uh, This is especially pertinent for game day procedures, so and we will save a VOD of this as well in the future, just so that you can just listen to it. But yeah, we will go into the draw show soon.
Everybody panic! Hold on! I'm about to say something really cool. 3, 41, 9, and lift off! No one dies screaming without me. I feel like I forgot to shoot something. You're starting to bore me. She's such a loser, always ready to cry. Ah, come on. What's the worst that could happen?
All right, folks, welcome to the AVL draw show. We're going to start with AVL, work our way down as we pinged earlier today. We're going to go AVL, ADL, APL, and AGL. Before we get this wheel spinning here, I just want to say a big thank you to ProComps for sponsoring this split. It's a drafting analyst tool that we have partnered with. We trust their product, we believe in their product, so we highly recommend you guys give it a shot. The link is down below in our panels, so feel free to check it out. We're going to pass it off to Dewan to introduce AVL, and we'll get the ball rolling here.
All right, awesome. So we have 16 teams for AVL. AVL, as a reminder to everyone, is our Grandmaster Capped League. The split. So there's actually not too many notes I have to say for this AVL team. I will say that what was it? Omega Gaming Wildcard is owned by Ivar, our commissioner. So I'm gonna do all these disclosures to make sure that we are being transparent as possible. University of Michigan JV team has my little brother in the team, and what else? I think there's one more I have to mention. All right, the AOE Big Ego is the Chelsea is currently, I believe, a manager of one of their teams, not this current AVL team, just a manager of the AOE org. I believe that is all the disclosures I have to do. So without further ado, I will leave this to Prots and Chelsea to do the wheel breakdown.
All right, let's get it. All right, spin the wheel, spin the wheel.
Spin the
All
wheel,
right.
spin the wheel.
So we're
I
doing
love
our
the
tier
wheel,
1
spin the
team
wheel.
first.
And that is Meme City Esports being selected as the very first gift of the wheel. The
fair enough.
almighty wheel has selected Meme City Esports. I believe they recently did have a team that went to Proving Grounds, right, Pat?
Yep. And then they tried for qualifiers and quite exactly make it in, but they did well. I'm excited to see particularly Radar and Zamudo Jungle. I think those two are gonna be coming into the scene very strong as a mid jungle duo.
Yeah, definitely. And they've been drawn into the Demacia division, so obviously it's going to alternate. There are no sister teams in AVL, so we don't have to deal with any complicated things regarding that. All right, and that looks like the Nameless Thieves selected as the first team in the Noxus division. Um, you know, names familiar to some people, such as, maybe Lyoto and Turk, also known as
For
Turk
sure, for
Support.
sure. Yeah, Turk support I think is gonna come into the scene very strong, like you said. He's got a good personality and he was pretty loud in UPL, so I'm looking forward to seeing how he does in AVL, especially in the opposite division of MCE. I think if those two got matched up, it'd be cool to see, but we'll see him in playoff, hopefully.
Hopefully. Yes, we'll see. And then next team, it will loop back over to the Demacia division, and it looks like it is going to be AOE Big Ego. Definitely some familiar faces there. We see Rock Boom, Eric C. Yang, and of course the team's namesake, Super Big Ego, in the mid lane.
Perfect. Yeah, and I mean AoE's an established org at this point, right? Most people know us or know them from just higher elos, and so definitely looking forward to seeing how they do. I think they should come in as like I guess quote unquote org favorites, just based on the resources that they have. But
Partnered with
should be
IMT
fun.
recently.
Yeah, exactly. So with those resources, they should be considered quote unquote favorites, right? Who could it be? Who could it
Who
be?
can it be? The Mighty Wheel has finally selected Glacial Esports Yellow as the second team in the Noxus division. Glacial Esports, definitely an org that's been around for a while. A lot of players coming in. Definitely, good to see some familiar faces joining Aegis.
Yeah, I don't know if their top laner is 100% confirmed. Not quite sure yet, but obviously I see one of their subs is Never Saw, who we've seen in the past. But other than that, their starting mid laner, Tribute, is someone that I've seen a lot of, especially in Unified, and he's done really well there. So I'm excited to see how exactly he performed. But he did well there, so should be pretty good matchup.
All right, let's do our tier 2 teams for AVL. Who do we got? Who do we got? Who do we got?
Oh,
Oh!
it is on the line, but it's going to be Enigma Eclipse. Very good to see the Enigma org participating in Aegis. I personally have seen them, in some lower elos in Runeterra Academy, but definitely big fan of the org, big fan of the management.
Exactly. Yeah, I've talked to Blue, and he's given me good hopes for this team. He
Hey.
said specifically, watch out for obviously the mid laner and the top laner, the solo lanes themselves. He said, careful of them, and they should be able to surprise us. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, let's see who's next.
Spin, 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 spin
Oh,
Spin the bottle.
it.
we see Bethany
Perfect.
Esports being locked in for the Noxus division. Definitely, university team has some high elo players. They got that synergy from knowing
Exactly.
each
Yeah.
other. You
Uh,
can't.
biggest thing I'll say about this is the coach Bravo. I've known him for a little bit. I've seen him around here and there. But if he's the coach of this team, which I'm assuming they haven't changed, definitely see improvement. Maybe they won't start out strong, but I definitely expect to see a ton of improvement and just player growth is really expected from this team, right? So should be fun. Spin the wheel, spin the wheel, spin the wheel.
Let's do it. Ooh.
Okay.
USC, University of Southern California, another university team coming in this time for the Demacia division. Definitely really good to have, these university teams, in the collegiate scene, also, pop up, say hi in Aegis Vanguard League.
Exactly. Yeah. And Joe, I believe, is the coach for that team. It'll be exciting to see them versus AOE in that one group, right? I think,
Oh yeah.
yeah, that's going to be a very spicy matchup whenever they face up. But I know there's like some small rivalries there just from previous previous leagues and stuff. So that'll be fun. I want to see specifically that matchup. Hopefully, will get streamed, right? So we'll see. We'll see. Big fan groups between both of them.
And finally, the last tier 2 team being added to the Nox division. This is Tempest Gaming Vipers. Definitely good to see some orgs coming in. Prots, do you have any insights on them?
Yeah. So Tempest is, I believe, owned by AC Brotherhood. I want to say, right? I'm pretty sure, and he's been recruiting for like the past couple months. So I've been seeing a lot of existing changing teams, existing players being swapped out. So like I'm happy that he finally found a team that he believes in, and I'm excited to see how they'll do. Like I said, they did a lot of tryouts. So it was like a very like large tryout for them, and if these are the players that they found have you know guess potential for him. I'm gonna be looking forward to seeing exactly who he picked up, especially after the whole off season.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get into our tier 3 teams.
Just looking at it, it seems so far Demacia has quote unquote, I guess, the bigger names, but Noctis has the wild cards already. Those are like the teams that like we don't exactly know too much about.
But could know about in the future.
Exactly.
All right.
Speaking of wildcards, though, we've seen Novel Esports put into the Demacia division. They're definitely one of the teams that's sort of an up and comer team. I don't know too much about them personally, but it's going to be good. Prots,
Yeah, I've heard
and any
about
insights?
Youngling, I believe is the way he prefers to be called, but I've seen him around here and there. They obviously have the league logo, so they're probably the best in the group already. There's some bias there, but they got the league logo, so I respect it. I'm looking forward to seeing exactly how that bot lane does with a more experienced player like that in the ADC position. And yeah, other than that, I don't really know the rest of the players, but I'm excited to exactly find out, like you said, more about this team and how they play. I think it's a really big wild card in that division. Oh my,
Ooh.
it's the Oakland boys.
Oakland Esports being put into the Noxus division.
Yep. Aaron's someone who's been in the scene for a long time. He's their owner, and I believe he might be coaching them. Don't quote me on that, but I'm not quite sure. I'm excited to mainly see the top laner. It's John. He's been around. I believe he's played in Aegis before. I'll double check, but I'm not quite 100% on that. But I've seen his name around a lot in high relo. So he's someone that has a ton of experience, and I'm looking to see exactly how he'll fare up against maybe some of these lesser, quote unquote, lesser known top laners, right? So, a lot to learn, a lot to take away from this guy, and yeah, I think this will be a team that mainly plays through top side, and that'll be interesting to see. I'm expecting some
Alright.
fun champions from that team.
Ooh.
Grandview JV, another university team.
Yep. So GVU was recently in Proving Grounds. I believe they still might be in.
Not
No,
sure
I
if this
lied.
is the same roster though.
Yeah, it's not. But like,
Oh, it is? Okay.
it is not. It's not.
Oh,
So
it's
their
not.
main
Okay.
varsity team is for Proving Grounds. This is their junior varsity, but the resources are still there. That's the biggest thing when you have college collegiate teams like this. A lot of collegiate teams, junior varsity and varsity teams, scrim each other a lot, right? So I
Mhm.
expect to see a lot of, I guess, similarities between the two in terms of maybe playstyle. Not so much like champions, but specifically playstyles and strategies. So definitely excited to see that, and like you said, right, their esports program has a lot of money and good names behind it.
I
So
believe
definitely gonna see.
Koskinen and Platypus are past participants in
Yep.
Aegis.
Yeah, they got a
All
lot to
right.
prove.
Yeah. And the last team locked in for tier 3 in the Noxus division, that is Akuma Katanas. Big shout out to Coffee and the rest of the Akuma organization.
And that is all we have to say.
Yep, that's it.
That's it.
Hakuna Matata.
Yeah.
No, just to give them, I guess, some love. I love their jungler. I'm looking forward to seeing him play. He plays a very fun champion for competitive. Takes a lot of greedy things, which is very very good in comp and like a refresher as opposed to
Mhm.
everything else that we'll see with Synth out in every game.
All right, we got 5 minutes left. Let's do our last 4 teams. Northeastern.
Northeastern University Club, a big theme about AVL is, there's a lot of university teams, and as Prats touched on, that comes with, a certain level of resources, and it's, up to the players and, the staff to see like which, team can use those resources the best.
Yeah, if I'm assuming I have the right person when I say this, but Hypnotic Viper, I believe, is someone that has a ton of experience in ADC and has a ton of experience playing, especially in Unified, right? So he has good comp experience. That's something that we don't see a lot of from collegiate teams when they pick up players. It's mainly like, quote unquote, newer players or just younger players that haven't had a lot of competitive experience. But yeah, Hypnotic Viper has a lot. I know he's also known for like his shot calling. So I think that'll be kind of just like different. Because shot calling from an ADC is always a little bit more different than like everything else, right? But
All right, let's go to the next one. It is. Ooh.
Omega Gaming Wildcard. Yes, Omega the org owned by Ivar, our commissioner. Definitely good to see some familiar blood in
Formerly
here.
Mad City Wildcard.
Yep, I was gonna say. Formerly Mad City. This team, I mean, they've won a lot, right? You can't discount these players. They've won a lot. They've done their due diligence in the scene, and they've made all their names known. I don't think if you go up to anyone and say AXM, most likely, if they're playing in Diamond, they're gonna know it. And recently, they've all moved up to Masters and stuff, and AXM is gonna be the person that most people will recognize from this team. And of course, Hobby. I'm Hobby. Whatever. Him too. Those two players are the ones that you think of when you think of wildcard.
Let's see what's next.
What?
It should be the university team if we're keeping theme. Yep, there it is.
Yep, there it is.
Just keeping theme, boys. we have Duan's favorite team. That's has himself on it too. Just saying.
Honestly, the
Somebody doesn't
cooler
complain.
Duan brother. The cooler Duan brother is on University
Okay.
of Michigan JV.
I'll see you after week 1 with my ticket messages. But yeah, looking forward to seeing Duan's younger, more talented brother in the jungle, of course. And then Griffin and ADC. Same as before, right? Griffin, someone that we know, just based on just how much he's played in the scene. Instant, I believe, is his IGN now, but most people just know him as Griffin. So, exciting to have him there. Exciting to finally see Duan's brother in action after all the fabled, mysticism around this guy. And finally, oh no, how do you
I think
pronounce this?
Kigemo, I think.
Alright,
I'm
perfect.
sorry if I botched it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say that. It's clearly based around the ADC, right? That's the ADC's name. So it's a team around the ADC. It seems fun. I think they're coming in more of like they might be a serious team. So don't take me on that, but I think they're coming more for
Teams are
like
serious, no?
for fun.
I think it looks like a pretty serious roster to me.
I
It
don't know,
looks
bro.
pretty spicy. Wow,
Team
Prats?
Envision doesn't sound
Yeah,
Oh, of
Team
course not.
serious.
Hey, no, we're not. So I take it.
Yeah, you guys are cringe Prats.
But yeah, just looking at these like lineups, I'm excited to pretty much see mainly the Demacia division for like the names, and then for like the exciting games, the Noxus division. I think those are gonna be like we're gonna see weird picks in Noxus. I can tell you that right now. Just based on everyone that's on those rosters, there's gonna be some weird picks in Noxus. Demacia should be more like quote unquote meta and more rivalries, right? Because you have a lot of bigger names in those just based off of programs. But again, it's everyone's game. We haven't even gone to week 1. We all know ranks don't mean anything, so we're gonna have fun with that one. It's
All
all about
right.
team play.
Awesome. So this is our divisions for AVL. I will have the matchups as soon as possible. But we're gonna go straight into ADL. within the next minute or so. So I should have the matchup set up by around, I'd say, within an hour, and then I'll ping the AVL role as well once that's set up, and then you guys can get to scouting, and then your first games are actually on Monday. So you need to get your roster confirmed, and the roster lock will be tomorrow at 8 p.m. EST. So that is a general reminder for any AVL participants that are still watching. But without further ado, let's get to ADL. All right, so ADL, we have 16 teams. I believe Protz, you're going to be joining me on this, right?
Indeed, indeed.
All
Let's get
right,
it.
let's do it. So for ADL, we have 16 teams, but this time we only have 3 tiers. So tier 1 is going to have 4 teams, and then tier 2 will have 6 teams, and then tier 3 will have 6 teams. So that should, if I do my math correctly, there should be 16 teams, and that would be 2 divisions of 8 teams. So without further ado, let us spin the wheel for our tier 1 teams.
Good math there, Duan. Good job.
All right, Oblivion Esports. I believe we know these guys pretty decently well around the scene.
Yep.
I believe I've seen their names around in like Unified. Let me read off of this real quick.
Yeah,
They
Unified
do
for sure.
they have 2 of what was it? Our champions from last split. From, or at least there's 2 of SK subs, and then they have the Star Support Pierce Blade as well.
Yep, I
So
was
I
gonna say
believe
that's
I
who I'm
believe.
excited to see for sure.
Mhm. I believe they were a former part of AOE, but unfortunately they had to leave AOE after they partnered with Immortals. So here they are with Oblivion. All right, let's spin the wheel. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be?
Oh my,
All right. Well, you want to fill in?
no, I hate this team. No.
Yeah, cringe.
Yeah, I mean this team, like we said, it's a newer team with people that mainly haven't played with each other, but we're excited to see how they do. They've been practicing for I want to say around like 2 weeks now, so it's clicking, taking time. Obviously, every team has growing pains, but for right now, they're just learning more about each other. And yeah, I mean you have Trajan in there, right? So Fun Boy himself back, and then obviously if anybody plays in RA, there's PVS. So we're just taking all the admins and putting them all in one team.
All right, spin the wheel. See who's gonna be in the Ionia division with Oblivion, and that is going to be Posh Players United. I actually don't know too much about this team at all. I believe at least actually 3 of their members were formerly masters, but started off this solo queue
Yep.
pretty rough. But
As it happens.
they have already played their 150 games and are currently just still Diamond 3 or Diamond 4. So they're having a pretty rough season so far, but we'll see how much of a ruckus they'll make in this in the ADL league.
Exactly. I think the top laner is the ones that I have my eyes on the most, right? Chokage, he's their master exception, and he's someone that we've seen play a ton of like different champions in solo queue even, right? It's like he's playing like Twitch, Ezreal, where it's like this guy's a top laner or competitive. So we'll see how that works out. Maybe he just plays ADCs in top lane.
All right, and then our last team will be
The beautiful Steve.
Stevens Lol Gray. This is number 2 Ginger's team. He was our part of the runner-up team last split from I believe one of the Virtue teams, right? VGA. So glad to have him back. This time as a manager for his school's team. So excited to see how this one pan out for them.
Yeah, they played a lot in PRL. They did really well in PRL as well. So like excited to see them come over here to a different league. But yeah, they've done really well in Phoenix Rising. So I would expect them to do well here too.
All right, so for tier 2, we have 6 teams. Let's spin the wheel.
Oh, and there is a sister team from TA. I believe that's the
We will
only exception, right?
Yep, we will tackle that. Are they
Perfect.
going to be selected here? No, not yet. Oh, yes.
Oh boy.
This team is a fan favorite. Glaive Esports. I'm sure many of you know the Glaive Esports by their brand name, but this is actually Boost's success. This guy has been with us since 2019. He is one of our OGs. He is in this roster. It also contains Panda, who is one of our also an LHG vet. And I believe Shaden was part of an Upsurge
Yeah.
Finals runner-up from last split.
Yep, that's what I was gonna mention. Mainly Shaden and Panda. The solo laners, I think, are the ones that you gotta watch in this roster.
Mhm.
Other than, of course, our beautiful man shooter himself. Boost to success and shooter. There you go.
Dare Radiance. All right, I'm sure many of you know the Dare name as well. This is a pretty significantly strong team.
Yeah, on paper this team looks super what's it called, strong, right? Like you have Silent there, you have Kriz in the middle, and then you have Rapid Fire.
Hanzo.
Yeah,
We
just
get-
one, two, three. Just looking at the middle of the map, you're just going, oh wow, that's a star roster right there. And
These
then they're
guys.
obviously backed by Dare, right? So
Yep, these players are pretty much Lane Kingdom players,
yeah, I was
so
gonna say.
they'll be very fun to watch. All right, let's look at Ionia. All right, we have Predictive Gaming Anubis. This contains one of our another OGs as well. Team, want to take a guess who it is?
I don't know.
Gamecool.
Of course. Excited to see him back. I don't remember. Was he here last split or no? I
Yeah, he was
don't
last, but he was actually the all-star for bottom, and now he's played mid lane.
Yeah, there we go. That's why. Yeah, so I'm excited to see him back in mid lane. He shined a lot, in previous splits as a mid laner. So I was excited to see him obviously as an ADC, but I think him going back to mid will be, a lot more to talk about the split as well.
I'm sure he'll play more Oriana.
Yeah.
Oh, oh no, I'm sorry, Ginkle. All right, anyways. Let's spin the wheel. Let's figure out who our next team will be in the Freljord division, and that will be not Team Emission Exodia.
Not.
So because we can't put sister teams together in the same division, Team Emission Exodia will be placed into the Ionia division.
Who could have guessed that?
Yeah, tell us more about this team.
For sure. Yeah, so right now this team obviously has Buddha and the jungle, who I think a lot of people know by now, and then Slacks and support. So those are two players that have played in I believe Risen. Yeah, Risen last split, Risen Divine. So they have good competitive experience there. We have new pieces slotting in between mid and ADC, and then obviously top. We have someone that we've already known, but yeah. So new mid and ADC. There's some existing synergy there between the jungle and the support. So same as before, growing pains, right? But
Mhm.
I think this team will click a lot faster than the other one, just based on how much they played together.
So by default, that actually puts our two remaining teams into Freljord. So we can just have Ivar spin the wheel twice. But let's talk about Grin first. So Grin, very fun team, I must say. So Grin actually contains one of our most notable OG members as well, Howie, otherwise known as Solo Lane. He's been the LHG All-Star top, I believe like 2 or 3 splits. I don't know, but he is a dominant. What was it? Champ Ocean. And is very flexible around the team as well. So I'm excited to see what he does with this grid roster.
That's
Oh,
quite literally the best way to put it, like you said.
they also have
Natural.
Cathaldus and Toast, who are returners as well.
Oh, okay,
And I
okay.
believe those two were runner-ups in Surge's Advanced League.
Yeah, Toast I remember. Yeah, Catalta's there as sub. I just wasn't looking at the subs. That makes sense. Yep.
Yep. And then Glacial Commandos. I actually don't know too much about it other than we know the Glacial brand name.
Yep. I mean, like you said, that brand name gives them some backing there too. Luna, I know used to play, I
Oh yeah,
believe.
Crown Jewel for Mega
Yeah.
last split.
Yep. There you go. So from Omega, Luna's coming back top lane, and then DK Maker is a name that I've seen more. I haven't quite seen like what they played in, but I know I've seen that name come around here and there, specifically in Unified. So
Mhm.
good experience there. Should be fun watching them, and especially since, like I said, they're with Glacial, right? So good org to back them up.
All right, let's go straight into our tier 3. So we're gonna have 6 teams here. I will say, like, as we roll onto this wheel, we do have 2 teams that are, in terms of rank discrepancy, are a little bit low on the end. So that is When in Rome and Pogratz. So we're gonna make sure that those 2 teams are going to be in 2 separate divisions. So without further ado, let's do our first team. So it is going to be When in Rome. So that means they're going to be placed into the Ionian division.
Makes sense. Yeah. I mean, before anything else, the logo looks sick. Okay, like respect
You
to
love the
whoever made
logo,
that
don't you?
logo. Yeah, that logo looks sick.
When in Rome was in our LHG Ultimate League, I believe, from last year, and I remember they were also the underdogs pretty much in every single match they played, but it made them so much more fun to watch whenever they actually ended up beating a team, and we'd be
Yeah.
really excited. Especially F369. Oh, I can't wait to see his Wukong top again.
This is true. This is true. Yeah, I'm gonna see. Looking forward to their matches. Like you said, they always come in as underdogs, but like you gotta root for the underdogs sometimes. That's half the fun. So I'll be looking forward to seeing them play again this split.
All right, let's see what's next. Oh, well, how fitting. Congrats. Going over to
Wow.
the failure division.
Rigged? No. You mention it and you get a back to back. I don't know, man.
I actually don't know. I don't know anything about this team. So they're completely new. They're completely new to me.
The only one I think I recognize is a nice Ward. I believe I've seen that name here and there. He's also their highest ranked player, right? So that makes
Yep, their
sense.
D1
But
player.
yep, so he's their D1 player. I've seen him around in Diamond Leagues. I'm excited to see him here as well. Again, ranks don't matter too much in this, right? Just because in comp play, it's a lot more about how you get along with your team and how your team plays. So, underdogs, yes, based on rank, but I think they'll do well with a good shot caller, like a nice Ward there, to make sure that the team is moving, together and forcing things together.
All right, let's spin the wheel. Figure out our next 4 teams as we conclude this draw show for the ADL teams, and that's going to be Virtue Gaming Unity.
I'm excited to say Virtue Gaming back, right?
Hmm.
The
VGU.
returning org, yeah, returning org.
Oh yes,
VGU.
this roster. This is what I like to call this the Risen Esports roster.
It's
we have
the
many
Zohair
we have
roster.
many very well known names here.
Yeah,
Zohair, quality player, Arch, Itchy Red, Terry,
double
and
Zohair.
double Zohair. Yep,
Exactly. Yeah.
it's just like two Zohairs pointing at each other like Spider Man.
But yeah, like you said, they're from Rhythm. They're winning rosters here. So definitely a little rough to see them, a little bit lower, I guess, in the pools, but they
Uh, they'll
cannot be
make it
counted
through.
out.
They will
Yeah,
make it through.
exactly. You can't count these people out. They're really good and they have a lot of experience together. Like,
Hmm. All right, last 3 teams until we wrap up this ADL. Let's see. It's going to be probably death cards, right? Unless okay,
oh,
Ragnarok.
let's go. Do one couldn't rig it. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, all I have to do is really draw out the team's names, and then they won't
Exactly.
get selected. But
Exactly.
Ragnarok goes over to the Failure division.
Yep. Atlas, the jungler. I believe some people should know him,
Oh
but
yes, very
yeah,
well known
there you
name.
go. Yep, that's should be the highlight of that team, right? Obviously, the other players will be highlighted throughout the season, but when you look at that team, that's the name that stands out the most. He's been playing a lot. He, more than likely has like a very good carry style of jungling with the Viego and Lee Sin, those two specific champions. But yeah. So when you think of like solo queue, there you go. You'll have a very fun jungler in that group over there.
All right, last 2 teams. SDC Death Cards. So this is one of the main teams from the SDC league. SDC, for those who don't know, Seasonal Draft Champions. They have quite the community there, and we have their Diamond team here with us for this split.
Yep.
So notable teams that we see here is JWeb, who has been a support in the past splits, and then we have Turtle, who actually was part of Ivy, but now has become the Death Cards.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be fun seeing him on somebody else in like a different org. But Death Cards we've seen a lot of in PRL. They've done really well over there. So coming over here, it's gonna be different what's it called pace for them.
And we wrap it up with Ivy.
Ivy looks good on paper, right? You have
Hmm.
Mr. Da Vinci right there in ADC, and then obviously you have Bishop Warrior on support. Those are two names that most people know. That bot lane has been playing together, I believe, for a while now.
Hmm.
Right? So because the existing synergy is there, the rest of the team will probably play around that, and that's what I look forward to. Just another
And,
team, like, mainly through bot side, right?
and one
So
more notable person, Mitochondrian. I believe he's been playing with us for quite a while as well, so that's another notable name to highlight.
perfect.
All right, this is your ADL divisions for this upcoming split. With the minute that we have remaining, anything notable for within these divisions?
Yeah, I think Iona division is like on paper that looks like a very rough group for everyone to get out of. Like you have very big name players all in one group, and I think that's going to cause a lot of rivalry within that, especially in
Failure has some
ADL,
pretty
right?
notable teams too, though.
True, true. I
Jared,
think
Dren,
there's
Stevens,
yeah, I was
GA.
gonna say those three orgs are very well known, and then obviously you have like the, I guess, quote unquote underdogs. But again, we haven't played week 1. There's no underdogs.
Yep. All right, cool. That's our ADL teams. I'll have the matchups set up for that. But I'm now going to pass the mic to Karito and Jason, who have been dying to wait to do the APL and AGL teams. So let me
My
do.
my goodness, Duan, my bad for cutting you off there, but absolutely.
So let me do the league introduction real quick, and then I'll let you guys take it over. 20 teams for APL to split. We are going to do 4 divisions of 5 teams. We have the split into 4 tiers. Tier 1 is going to have 8 teams, and then tiers 2, 3, and 4 are going to have 4 teams. So take it away, Jason and Karito.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Once again, I'm Jason. I have Karito with me on the spin. So, Ivar, whenever he's ready to go, we're gonna see the wheel spin out. I'm really excited to see how this one goes as No Org Frost is gonna be our first team going into the Shurima division. Now, personally, I know some of the players on this roster. They were part of Stun Gaming way back then for people that do know. But they're gonna fill in this roster here. ST and Imperius, a very excellent AD carry that's performed well in other leagues. I believe made finals for optimal championship. So that's definitely something that I'll be looking out for. And yeah, Karito, I know that, do you have any thoughts for this at least?
Yeah, I mean, on paper, it looks like this team has a lot of, I wouldn't say like big personalities, but they got recognizable names within the community. So at very least, you got a community favorite to kind of root behind, at the very least.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're ready for the wheel to go once again, and who are we gonna get? We're going to land on Dorado Gaming Iota. Now, Dorado Gaming, part Chelsea's org there as well, but very, very strong team on paper, absolutely. Very, very well-known team as well. They have vicious backshots, Para in the top lane, absolute gem of a player. Love that guy. And I'm expecting a lot of good teams. These are, they're looking to violate the competition. They're looking to copy paste another easy win for Dog. That's definitely their standards for them so far.
I was gonna say they have some of the best copy pasta in the industry, so I look forward to it, or at very least look forward to reading it.
All right, let's see what the wheel's gonna grant us here as we're gonna get Bing Chillers. Now, personally, I don't know as much. So, Karito, you're welcome. If you know anything about them, go ahead and bring it up for
Uh,
me if you'd like.
yeah, I was about to say I recognize a few of these players. Yeah, this team from the last time I encountered them back on when they were Omega Gaming Unknown, they were a solid team. They did a lot of really impressive things in RA, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they perform in APL.
Yeah, and I see some familiar names as well. King Silva and Oreo Murder were just recently in the semifinals of the Lotus Primrose League, and almost pulled off a reverse sweep against Lotus Black. So that's definitely one really cool thing you mentioned. That's definitely a strong bot lane duo to be on the lookout for.
Absolutely.
Now, see which team we're gonna get in the I don't know how to pronounce it.
Ishtal.
Ixtal division. So we can get We Love Solbert, Ivan
We Love
Enthusiast
Solbert.
Edition. Go ahead, Karita.
Oh, I mean, I love these guys. Everyone, at least if you started in the humble beginnings where I did in Risen, everyone knows Solbert,
Yeah.
and he is a well known and well loved within that community, and I'm excited to see him him and his team kind of take the jump over to Aegis and show some of their love here.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's gonna be our first round off our tier 1 teams as we're gonna go for the second round, putting in the divisions. And that's here we're gonna start seeing people be separated into places. Cape Dogs Unchained is gonna be going in towards the Shurima division. Now, this again, Cape Dogs was another team that's actually in the finals for Lotus Primrose League coming up relatively soon. So they have a lot of strong pieces there. They also have players from other teams that are recognizable at least within the Lotus preseason league. So another really strong team. I'm really excited to see what they provide to the table. Some recognizable names like Fire Streaks who moved up from AGL last split as well. All right, let's see what we're gonna get for the Void division here, as we're gonna spin on Catalyst Wraith. Now, Catalyst Wraith, this is another semi-finalist team from Lotus. Gonna be a recurring theme here. Very, very solid team on paper, absolutely. Handsome Fred, aka Catapult, in the mid lane as well. Very well-known player. So again, I have really high hopes for that team too. I can't wait to be able to cast some of these names. There's some very exciting matchups that are gonna be shaping up so far. All right, let's see. We're gonna get into the Targon division. It looks like we're gonna get Team Death Realm Quebec. Now, I believe this will be a new team in towards a little Aegis community here. But once again, very solid team, definitely really well split out. So, looking to prove themselves, definitely have a lot to show for themselves too. As we're gonna see DZG Olympus kind of be moved into the Ishtal division. Again, another very strong team. I've seen a lot of great things from some of the Dread Zone gaming streams. Yinshu, honestly, sometimes like Yinshu makes me question the reality of life with some of those crazy plays he makes. A very strong roster. Mobster Penguin also, gonna be a strong point. So that's gonna be our tier 1 teams gonna be seeded out here for our APL draw show so far. As we're gonna move on towards our tier 2 teams too.
4 teams. Let's do this.
Yep, 4 teams here for tier 2. So amongst teams here, our first one, it looks like we're gonna get Glacial Charm. So another glacial team kind of entering the little ecosystem here. Obviously very well-known org, so definitely we'll be excited to see how they kind of put out with the resources they have. And as a tier 2 team, should be looking to contest in these standings. That's going to be placed with Cape Dogs and I forgot the other.
No
No
Orc
org.
Frost.
And no Orc Frost, that's right. Okay.
Come on, JC.
Yeah, my bad. There's too many teams here. My memory is gonna be failing me at this rate, as we're gonna get performance unenhanced ducks here for our third team in the Void division. Once again, another relatively newer team, I believe, into our Aegis community, but definitely looks like that they'll be in a tough group for sure. They have Dorado, they have Catalyst Wraith. So, it's the not group B, but the Void group is looking to be, quite a group of death here so far. I don't know about you, Krita.
Yeah, it's certainly looking like a strong group. They do have a fantastic logo, though. I will give them that. Listen, strength of a logo is the strength of a team.
Absolutely. And Mukduan is going to be put in towards the
God.
Targon division. Obviously everybody loves Duan. So why can't? So obviously we have a player in Aegis called Duan. We have a team in Aegis called Mukduan as well. And
I want to cry.
don't cry, Duan. They love you. How could you cry towards the love of those auntie?
No comment.
Anyways, it looks like this will mean that our last team, Death Cards Gold, will be placed into the Ishtal division, and obviously also relatively new team coming into our system. So that's going to be our most of the latter half of our APL draw show done here. So we're going to have the tier 3 teams come up. I believe it's 4 tier 3 teams as well, right, Duan?
Mm-hmm.
And here we go. Like, there's some very exciting names in here for sure. So, without further ado, let's get the wheel spinning. Where are we gonna get? Where are we gonna get it? Okay, we have Team Ambition Valor. Now, personally, full disclosure, as a Team Ambition plat player as well, this is one of I believe this is one of the strongest TA plat teams there. Egg and Dallas are AGL champions and finals MVP as well there, moving up a division and, absolutely performing. Dallas has been on a solo queue tear lately. I believe he's already plat 1, but the thing is, he lost out. He could have been a tier 2 team, but, he forgot to, change it on time. But, another really strong team, even though they are tier 3, they have a lot of great pieces, especially with the jungle and AD, a lot of synergy they work with. And I believe Dallas and Snow Life have been doing out of their minds as well. All right. So again, going into the Void division, we're gonna have
Super
the
Friends.
Super Friends. The Super Friends clearly, I don't know about you, Credo. I don't know why they're in tier 3. They obviously should be a tier 1 team. We have, absolute powerhouse of a player. It's Jinja going to the mid lane this time.
Oh my god, they
Listen.
got paired up with Dorado. Oh no.
It's a free win for the Super Friends, surely.
Tier 3 in paper, tier 1 in our hearts, and tier 0 in the meme war. It's Jinja.
Cross
Oh,
counters, Ronald, and hey, and don't forget Super Coach Michael O minus O. It's group B is truly a group of death now. I don't know how else you want to put it, Credo. It's just, like it's just gonna be
all,
absolute war.
all I'm saying, Duwan, is I will pay good money to watch the Super Friends versus Dorado.
Absolutely, as our third team going into the Targon division will be Valor Bulls United Monster Mash. Now, this is going to be a returning team. We did see them last split around in Aegis, so definitely excited to see what they have to add, especially since they have Fuijin in that 80 carry position. And this looks like a great team as well. Panzora up in the top lane as well, and Targon also looking like a pretty challenging group here too, as Team Shadow and Fortune are gonna round off our tier 3 teams going in towards the Ishtal division. Again, pretty solid team on paper. You do have good support and top lane by the looks of it. I also really like the logo. Looks pretty cool there. As we're gonna be closing off our APL draws with our tier 4 teams here. Oh, there's some wonderful names here, aren't there, Credo?
All right, wrap it up with our tier 4 teams.
Absolutely. Now we're
starting
gonna
off
get Red Sprouts in the Shurima division.
Oh no.
Now, honestly, the Red Sprouts.
This whole Shurima division is an AGL.
Yeah, this whole Shurima division is basically AGL plus. They have, the Church of Andy back into town. Kobita up in the top lane. After that, Bude as well, graduating upwards from AGL into his APL. They also have Darkfire going by Nexus for Baron this time, moving up as well with them, and return back to the scene for the Oathkeeper. And Red Sprouts definitely a team that have a lot of work cut out for them here, especially up against some of these big names here in the Shurima division. As we're gonna move on to the Void here, as you can see the wheel spin, and who are we gonna get? It looks like Big Menergy, another one of the teams moving up from AGL as well, coming in towards APL. Lava Lizard, recognizable name for those in the AGL scene. We also have a couple of roster changes for them. So, another team that definitely has a lot of work to do, especially in this extremely challenging group with the Super Friends in it. So I will say Group B is definitely shaping out to be a group of death so far, Credo.
Absolutely.
Yeah, now we're going to see which team we're going to get in the Targon division. Looks like we will have Death Cards Black be drawn in towards here. Now, Death Cards Black, again, sister team off that other Death Card squad as well. But also, just purely based on ranked impressions, they also have a lot of work cut out for them. Definitely a challenging division, especially with the likes of Bing Chillers and some of these other teams in here. As Ergotum Academy will be our last team, rounding it off in towards the Excel division. Ooh, excuse me, but what are your sort of reactions to a lot of these groups here, Credo? What do you think is going to be? What are your thoughts?
I think you summed it up pretty nicely. That definitely Group B, the Void division, is the one to look out for. Is the most volatile division. You're gonna have some of the really strong competition there, but that's not to discount the rest of the groups. Looking at all of them, you have Group A, like you said, is the group where we're seeing a lot of rematches from later stages of the AGL last split. So regardless of how things pan out, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this group plays out and see who comes out on top.
Yeah, absolutely. I do know Duan is hard at work with the sheets, so the schedules will be coming out relatively soon. But if this is it for APL. I can move on towards the AGL draw show now.
You know what they say, the wheel don't lie. And also, Bing Chainlink really got their logo in. Oh my gosh.
Honestly, it's such a great logo. As a Chinese person, I can't help but feel a sense of love for that image.
Oh, no. Okay,
Anyways,
logo diff. Anyways, moving on to AGL, we have 16 teams this split. We're going to be doing the same thing, 2 divisions of 8. There's going to be 4 tiers for this AGL split. And 4 tiers, that means it's going to be 4 teams in each tier. So take it away, Carito and Jason.
yeah, absolutely. As our first team coming up here is going to be Oasis Dream. Now, Credo, go ahead, take me away with Oasis Dream.
I mean, Oasis is an org that's been around for a while, and I'm able to speak a little more because I have been hiding in gold for a year and a half. Lord knows that I can't escape. I mean, what? Oasis, they got some fantastic names on there. People I've seen around the competitive scene for at least the time I've been there. It looks to be a very strong team. People like Swifty, like Astral, and the rest of the team is really looking to, at very least, take a name and be like their sister team from last year. It was what, Oasis, Nails, and Day Spa.
Yep,
Yep.
Oasis, Nails, Day, and Spa. Absolutely a team that was very strong. As let's give the wheel a little bit of spin here. As I see Team Ambition Gambit gonna be drawn in here. Will be in the Zon division, right? Now, I can speak for this team. I'm their coach, so I have very high expectations for this team. Caxi, Trucks, still may softs on the sub spot as well. Like a lot of really well-known names within the gold scene, and absolutely, right off the bat, just looking on names alone, an absolute favorite. Caxi is a former LHG champion. You have Caxi's also in the finals of the Lotus Gardenia League alongside me. So high expectations for this team. And let's keep the wheel spinning. Well, actually, we don't need to spin it because we already know how it's gonna work. TA Solstice has to be in the Piltover decision due to the sister rules, and we don't even have to worry about that. Team Ambition Solstice, second Team Ambition Gold team representing for the org here. BAP, Thunder McBusters, Love Hitman, some big names coming out here, and absolutely a team that also wants to be contending and wants to be performing. As a CWRU Spartan Shield is going to be pulled in towards the Zon division, rounding off our tier 1 squads here. What are your thoughts so far, Krita?
I think I don't think these divisions have gotten any easier for either of these teams. You have, like you said, both TA teams have been split up due to the sister rule, but there's no real group that you can point to and say, oh yeah, that's the easier group at the top end. Especially looking at the top 4 that have been selected so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, personally, definitely really excited to see how the rest of this draw plays out, as we're gonna be moving on towards our tier 2 draw here. Same thing, 4 teams for tier 2. Nothing much difference now. Credo, you are on Omega Gaming Apex, so excited to see where you end up going. But right now, we're gonna get Clown Gaming Gotham drawn in towards the Piltover division. And Clown Game Gotham, a lot of well-known names here, especially carrying on from Lotus preseason league as well. Batman, Diamandis, Induced, Potato, Tomato, 6669. Definitely some more well-known names, and also definitely a strong contender and could look to compete at the top here.
Yeah, and that also means their sister team, the Aristocrats, has joined the Zon division as well.
Absolutely. But with that being said, looks like we're gonna get Omega Gaming Apex, your team, Carito, up in the Zon division. Tell me about your team.
I mean, it's a team after the unfortunate falling of the last Omega team that has been built from the ground up. It's got some rather recognizable names from all different leagues. You have Okina and Corny who are RA champions. You have Rivered, who played for the Grin Reapers for for a good period of time over in BOL.
They have you.
I'm not going to talk about myself.
Yeah, because you suck. My
Yeah.
goodness. Anyways, Glacial Omen will be drawn in towards the Piltover division for us. Once again, another Glacial team. And that leaves that naturally leaves Clown Gaming Aristocrats gonna be pulled in towards the Zon division. Now, Glacial Omen do have Entity, AGL champion on as the top lane there. So definitely a bit of a role swap, however, but a lot of unknown information about this team for sure. And in terms of the Aristocrats, they have Northward, they have Hedge, they have, definitely some slightly recognizable names as well. So, I'm excited to see how some of these teams are playing out, Krita.
Funny enough, for the Aristocrats, I am very familiar with Hedge. He is an admin in the Risen Esports server, and I wasn't aware that he was joining Aegis up until the time that the rosters were released. So I'm excited to see him.
Well, now you know, but in terms of what we want to know now, we're going to be moving on towards these tier 3 teams. Once again, 4 teams that we're drawing. And in the Piltover division, it looks like we're going to get the Crimson Legionnaires. Now, some more recognizable names here. We have Prophet Lu playing back in the support role. We have Anamantis as our AD carry. So, definitely recognizable bot lane, a team that's looking to do pretty decent here. And I'm excited to see how they perform too, for sure. As any thoughts, Greta?
Sorry, I got kind of caught off guard there. Yeah, no real no real thoughts. It looks like a strong team, especially going into this group, and despite them being in tier 3,
Now, Grin wannabes gonna get drawn out here. Now, this is an absolute super team because honestly, any team with O minus Mike O in it is a guaranteed winner. Now, they're gonna be. Are they supposed to be in Zon or Piltover? Am I tripping?
Zon.
Yeah, they should be. Yeah, there we go.
Corrected.
There we go. O minus, that's his power. He's so strong. He makes Ivar mess up the wheel allocation. He's just that good. Gopamine as well. CJ, they have Morpheus, they have Sharky. Definitely, names that are really familiar for me. So, I'm excited to see how they do for sure. It's gonna be, a role swap for Mike though, going in the support role. So, I've played a couple flex games with him, and he has some real spicy picks. He's busted out Nar support, Oriana support, Renekton support.
What in the world?
Hey, it's optimal. Like, he has a presentation on why Nar mid is good. Now, speaking of good teams, Literal Monk, Lemon Grass, gonna be drawn here in towards the Piltover division. Now, I don't know too much about them, but the logo is always a W from my end of view. And to round it off, we're gonna have Imperial Gaming move in towards our Zon division here. Now, Imperial Gaming, semi-finalist in Lotus Gardenia League. Unfortunately, they came up against me, so I had to tell them, nah. They kind of stopped there. But
oh my lord, yeah. Kind of just to throw my thoughts into things. The Literal Monkeys have been an org that I have seen a lot, and they've developed quite a few players into being well known both in gold, plat, as they kind of go up and they kind of continue their competitive journeys. And like you said with IG, they just had a semifinalist appearance in the Lotus Gardenia League. So I'm definitely excited to see both of these orgs and see what they're bringing to the table.
Absolutely. Now, almost near at the end, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have our tier 4 teams kind of move out on the draw here, and gives a second here, as our first team that we are gonna draw here is gonna be Tufts Sapphire. Now, Tufts Sapphire University team, and I can't speak as much for the roster now because I believe there are they will be looking to make some roster changes. but purely based on ranks alone, they're gonna have a tough hill to climb here. And for someone who goes to school in the region, I can't help but feel a little bit of sympathy for them. As moving on in the wheel though. And we are gonna get Crystal Cave Gaming Ruby. One of the familiar names that even when I was playing in LHG, I heard of Crystal Game Ruby. Definitely, heard nice things about them. They have a pretty decent team too. They do have some nice ranks here. So just purely looking at ranks, positive reactions from my end, and you know nothing too crazy so far. A lot of these teams definitely still do have a lot to prove and a lot to show. So kind of almost done with the group draw here. We'll see which side of the coin that DZG Arcadia will be in, and it looks like it will be in the Piltover division. Now, Arcadia definitely, while DZG, one of the well-known orgs here, Trajan, our boy, popping off here, and I like their team as well. They have Magfries, slightly relatively known. Resilient is gonna prove to be a pretty good carry player as well. As we have TASA Blue gonna round off our division draw here in the Zon division. And what are your thoughts so far on the kind of how the groups are placed out here in the divisions, Krito?
I think that we are seeing a lot of familiar faces from last year's Aegis split, and we're also seeing a lot of new faces come in, which is a good thing. You got some familiar organizations, TA, who are the defending champions. You have Omega. You have uh,
DZG.
DZG. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't think for a moment there. And you have the literal monkeys, but then you also have Grin. You have IG. You have all these other, newer people to the Aegis Guardians League, and I'm very excited personally to see kind of where people land, where people end up as the cards kind of fall. There's no real side of the divisions that I think is overwhelmingly stronger than the others.
Hashtag TA win.
All right.
Anyways, that covers it all for us from the AGL draw show. So I'll hand it off to
I'll take it from here, Dwan.
Ivar.
Yes, thank you all for tuning into the draw show. Our league start this week. We will be back today actually with our TFT Invitational in about a half an hour. So if you're interested in tuning into that, tune in at 5 p.m. EST. We will have round two of that and finals tomorrow. It is a bunch of challenger players playing for $1,500, so it'll be high level gameplay. And then we'll be back Monday with week one of AVL and so on. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for the continued support. And let's make this split a banger.
All right. Thank you, everyone.